everybody, this is Richard Sleigh, and today I'm going to talk about installing a tone knob in your head, just like the tone knob on your guitar or harmonica amp, only this is going to be what you create from the way you use your throat, the way you use your diaphragm, the way you use your whole body to create the sound that's coming out of your harmonica. That little bit I just played there was an attempt to show you some range of tone that you can create with the instrument, from bass tone to treble tone. Of course, I was also using tongue blocking and hand effects and other things, but today I'm going to focus on one basic thing, which is how you set yourself up from your core and work with your throat to regulate the tone from bass to treble. We're just going to work mostly with the diaphragm and the lower abdominal muscles and the muscles inside in your throat area and in your mouth. So you might, to get the most out of this video, I would suggest you pause and get yourself, hit pause in a second and get yourself a key of G harmonica, diatonic harmonica, blues harp, and if you've got one, a chromatic harmonica in the key of C, and a pad and a pencil, okay? So just hit pause, go do that, I'll wait for you. Okay, so you're back now and ready to go. Really, you will get a lot more out of this video if you do the video with me rather than, passively watching it. So, what am I talking about? Installing a tone control. I'm talking about being able to go from sort of normal to you hear those differences, you hear this main tone coming through, and then you hear a more bass overtones to treble overtones. So, how am I doing that? The first step is to get your throat open and then get yourself centered down here. I'm going to turn this camera down just a hair so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so it starts down here in your just below your navel. This area here, there are these lower abdominal muscles. Now tense them up. Feel them starting to constrict this area. Feel them supporting you and supporting your diaphragm. The diaphragm is this dome-shaped muscle underneath your lungs that moves the air. And it's one of those muscles that works involuntarily all the time, fortunately, so that means we keep breathing. And because it's on autopilot most of the time, very few people ever think of really training it. But if you do train it, it will then kick into autopilot to support you when you're playing the harmonica once you get it trained properly. So it's this area here. You want to feel that sense of you're holding yourself in place and giving that diaphragm a solid feeling of support as it moves the air. And then start with okay, the next step is to set up your throat. Okay, so let's talk about, first you yawn and feel the muscles relax. Okay, and we're going to go for big tone first. So you relax, yawn, separate your teeth a little bit, and the more you as you separate your teeth, you open up the space inside your mouth. Let your lower jaw move forward slightly. That creates more space in through here. And as you yawn, and feel what's going on in your throat when you, okay? You can consciously expand your throat by paying attention to what is expanding, what you're doing with your muscles that allows the space to get bigger, and by noticing the muscles that are tensing up, that tends to work in the opposite direction. So what you want to do is get this deep support here, have that feeling of strain and effort. If it's going to go anywhere, let it go to your core. And then think of your upper body as being totally relaxed. You might need to watch yourself in the mirror for a while to really get the hang of this, but you want to, have a relatively straight spine, and then do the yawn, open up your throat, separate your teeth, and then go from, okay, I'm going to go from normal tone to that, doing all those things to open my throat. So you can actually, if I put my hand here, when I work on this, I can feel my throat opening up in through here. So there are certain muscles that expand your throat and certain muscles that when your body goes tense, they restrict your throat. And I don't know the names of them, but it's more important to woodshed with this and get that feeling, and then so that you can understand what works for you and what is getting in the way. So that's what this practice is. So the practice is to do a basic train rhythm, double in breath, double out breath, and we want to keep your throat an open pipe, wide open at first, and let the air move with your diaphragm. So your diaphragm is now, whoops, get the right side. The diaphragm moves, stops moving, moves again, creates a double in-breath, and then the opposite, the diaphragm. Okay, so you want your throat to be wide open, let the diaphragm do the work, and get this train rhythm going. That's the deal. As you speed it up, keep your throat wide open. We'll get into throat vibrato in another video. I think it's better to just isolate this practice for now and work on getting that super bass tone. So going from normal, great. Now, the opposite, the mosquito tone, is now you're still keeping your throat open, but you want to move your tongue up and forward in your mouth and create the smallest possible space behind the harmonica. By the way, another thing, very simple, basic thing, is the harmonica should sink deep in your mouth. You're playing only on holes 1 and 2, okay? 1 and 2. Let the harmonica sink deep in your mouth so that you have a really, really good, solid gasket seal around holes 1 and 2. You don't want to be leaking air around the edges. And you can test this by standing in a corner if you've got a room with drywall, solid walls. And the sound will reflect into your ears and will give you all this detailed information. And you'll hear that sound of leaking air if that's what's happening. If you have that happening at all, really focus on getting that together, because if you're leaking any air around the edges, it really, really diminishes your control over everything. Okay, so you want to do this train rhythm, double in breath, double out breath, and speed it up as much as you can while still using your diaphragm muscles. And you really have to, pay attention to what's going on to notice when it starts to kick into a kind of a coughing throat vibrato thing. So back to the mosquito tone. I'm going to demonstrate going from normal tone to mosquito tone. Once again, now I'm bringing my teeth back together. I'm moving my jaw back. I'm doing everything in reverse that gave me big tone. Moving the tongue forward, making the smallest possible space. So you want to hear this. So going from bass tone to mosquito tone. Can you do that and keep an open pipe? That's the challenge. So, if you can get a single note on the harmonica, another way you can test this in-breath to out-breath, you want to be balancing your in-breath with your out-breath. And this will give you a little more detailed information. I'm going to do this on draw 2, blow 3, which is the same note on this harmonica. Whoops. Mosquito tone. Bass tone. So that's another way you can check, and if you do this in the corner with the reflected sound, once again you get really detailed feedback. So you can use both of these extremes anywhere on the harmonica, but when you're playing high notes, if you can get more of this bass tone in the high notes, you will get a much smoother sounding notes out of the top end of your harmonica. The difference between and I mean, you can have your mouth really wide open and still get the bends up there if you work on it. It's something I'll get into in a separate video, high note bends, but the first step is to just notice the difference and see if you can go from bass tone to treble without bending the note. And draw. You don't hear as much difference on the high end of the harmonica. And also, one of the reasons why I recommend practicing this on a G harmonica, or better yet, even a lower key, is because in the lower range of the harmonica, you hear a lot more of the overtones. So when you hear this, the difference is a lot more dramatic. So you can also do the same single note thing on the chromatic harmonica. Draw 4 with the slide in. And that's another way to test the balance between your blow note and your draw note. Do they sound the same? We'll also get into this more when I talk. I'm going to do another video on vibrato And this same exercise gives you a lot of detailed information on that sort of thing. So let's see. Review. Core muscles, that's what holds you and gives your diaphragm something to work with and against, to move your lungs, to move the air. To get big tone, separate your teeth, move your lower jaw forward, open up your throat, figure out which muscles expand your throat, keep your shoulders and upper body relaxed and allow those other muscles to get out of the way, and experiment with going from bass tone to the most treble tone you can produce. So this is a way for you to just basically take a microscope on what you're doing to create tone. And this is really powerful woodshedding, and you can take what you learn with this and apply it to anything you're already playing. So I suggest you go about this with real beginners. Pretend like you don't know anything, and then just go into it and really get curious. What's going on here? What am I doing? And pretend like you're learning how to do everything for the first time. It will give you the kind of openness to what's going on that will really, you might be surprised at all the little things you discover what's going on. You might find that your tongue is like completely out of control. Who knows? This is how you find these things out, is slowing down enough to really go for it and see what you can learn. So I hope you found this useful, and if you did, please do me a favor and hit the like button. Tell people who could benefit from it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And stay tuned. I'm going to be putting out more videos on this basic stuff. I want to slice it up into and go deep on a number of ways that you produce the tone in the harmonica, and a lot of other things at the same as well. So thanks again for listening to this, and I'll be back soon with more.